And that past data became an analog date.
And what does that mean, an analog date?
An analog date means it's the same as the future date is going to be the same as the past date. So when I take something that happened maybe in 1932, August 10th, and I hang that map up on the wall, when August 17th, 2012 comes along, the weather map around the world is the same.
How come it's able to be the same?
Well, because my theory, my hypothesis is that the planets are the factors that cause the weather on Earth along with the moon and the sun. So when they're in the same spot, in the same month, you should get the same kind of weather, and you do.
So our whole understanding of weather goes way beyond atmosphere. It goes even beyond the sun, although the sun is a critical factor.
Oh, yeah.
You're saying, as part of the paradigm of what you're doing and what you're offering, that all the planets have impacts on weather.
I think so.
Well, that's a whole paradigm change, isn't it?
Oh, yes. There's no question. Unfortunately, they don't teach that type of meteorology in the weather schools in colleges now because there's such a... they just say anybody that would do that kind of research must be out of his mind. There cannot be a connection.
It reminds me a little bit of astrophysics and astrology.
Okay.
And there's even an astrology called Magi astrology. It's the only evidence-based astrology in the world. Mm-hmm. And their whole layout of the gravitational influences of planets is different than all the other types of astrology, and yet they're the only evidence-based astrology in their area. So there's constantly new knowledge coming out. I think that being a teacher, as long as you've been, and a love of students, and all the students that not only were inspiring, but keep inspiring, that your first love has to be the love of learning.
Oh, gosh, yes. I spend probably 10 hours a day, Kim, learning and researching what I'm doing. And I've done this for 40-some-odd years, which means that if I'm willing to spend 10 hours a day, 8 to 10 hours a day for 40 years, and that includes Saturday and Sunday, I'm not so stupid to do something like that if I don't see very, very positive results. The only thing is, I can't tell anybody about it because they would just think you're a crackpot. And that's why they don't teach youngsters this in college. And they should be, because it's a whole new avenue of weather forecasting.
Well, the thing that's so interesting is we know, for example, that the moon has critical influence on the tides, on how people feel. That's been accepted for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't we accept other impacts with planets outside of Earth that have a causal relationship with what happens here?
Very interesting, but they don't.
What's the fear about?
Weather cannot be forecast beyond 2 weeks, and not even 2 weeks, according to those who are in charge. Now, when I was out in Seattle, Washington recently, I did have the chance to speak with some of the American Meteorological Society past presidents, and I told them I do something that's terrible. AMS does not approve of it. It's long-range forecasting. And one of the past presidents said, well, I'll tell you this, a lot of changes are starting to take place, so don't give up. I thought that was good to hear.
That's great.
Yeah. Yep. See, all the students I taught, they do conventional weather forecasting. They don't do what I do. Although one does. One does the forecasting for the Farmer's Almanac. One of my students is the meteorologist for the Farmer's Almanac. So he did follow through.
Have you had a chance to look at planetary relationships to the Earth as it relates to ice ages or mini ice ages?
I haven't done that so much because I go back like 2,000 years. but the ice ages were maybe 10 or 15,000 years ago.
What about the little ice age in England?
Well, yeah, you can look at that. What I did recently was look at the major storms that hit the East Coast in the last 50 or 60 years, so I could find out what was the common denominator in all the storms. So I haven't done much in England, only because I have enough to do in the United States.
Got it.
But if I had a staff, oh boy, I'm alone. You see, I just do it. I'm a retired teacher and do these things on my own because I'm excited. And so it's slow. It's the old turtle moving along, but I do make progress.
I think the X factor, if there's an X factor to all of this, is not so much in what you're looking at. The X factor is in the realm of what I call synthetic weather causation, meaning that when certain aspects of our military begin to experiment with their own weather programs to induce weather and have the technology to do that, you should read the paper Owning the Weather by 2025, and you'll see how serious the military is about owning the weather. But some of this technology is in Raytheon and in other locations. But that's the only X factor to me that is really scary. So I think what you do gives us a sense of what is in our dominion or what is capable of being known. But the minute the X factor of synthetic weather causation comes in from outside forces and agencies that feel they have the right to play ball, that's when I think it can supersede what you're able to generate, even though what you're able to generate is beyond anything that most weather forecasters could imagine. It's a big breakthrough in weather forecasting science.
So you're thinking, Kim, in other words, what you're thinking about is cloud seeding, making rain where we're supposed to have rain, steering hurricanes one way or the other.
I'm thinking beyond that. I'm talking
even beyond that.
I'm thinking about the ability to spray our air with barium, strontium, and aluminum every day in Los Angeles and in other parts of the United States on special weather projects that they're playing around with our ionosphere. I've done 3 shows on this. I'm talking about being able to induce not just hurricanes and storms, but earthquakes and to alter weather so fast.
Oh.
So I'm talking about the military-industrial involvement in altering weather. It's a totally different gestalt, and it's not in the radar of the average, even high-level meteorologist and climatologist because they are not necessarily receptive to that realm.
I know zero about it.
Most people don't.
Well,
most people,
I
even
do.
at the highest level, for example, you're bringing in this other paradigm of what long-range weather prediction can be. That can be very helpful to many of us. But like I said, the only X factor that won't be able to be put into the mix is the way that synthetic causes are altering what can even be called weather.
Wow.
And that's very painful to me.
Wow.
Very, very painful to me. Read Owning the Weather by 2025. You'll understand. Look at the patents that were stolen from Nikola Tesla that are laying inside of Raytheon and other agencies like them. It's not funny. I see it every day in Los Angeles. I breathe it in. I've never had respiratory problems like I do today.
Oh, my.
Never. I'm a non-smoker. I'm a 13-year tournament tennis player. I've never, ever seen anything like what goes on. And it's not just in L.A. There are reports. People are now finally reporting this all over the United States and the world.
Well, one of the most polluted cities, believe it or not, is Denver, Colorado.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? But now, Kim, where did you live before you were in California?
Well, I've always lived in California, but I've been to 36 states in the United States and also traveled through Europe. I love to travel, and soon we'll be traveling more again, but I love this country, and I love most places of the world. This is the only area of anything related to climate and weather that the public really needs to know about. So I think that outside of synthetic weathering, what you're doing can be extremely helpful. How long range do you do? I know you said 15 months.
We can go much further than that since we can predict where the planets, moon, and sun will be at any time. The only thing that limits